Good afternoon.
Right. Shall we start the session? Up to now, there are 75 participants in the session. In your class, there are 103. Right. Anyhow, we will start the session. Right. I'm going to teach this semester Public Accounting and Finance. This is the course title. So your subject code is ACC, fourth year, first semester, and subject code is 1-2, and it's a 3-credit subject. And the course unit is the introduction to public sector and public financial management. That's what the course unit. And now today we discuss about introduction to public sector. So before we start, we have a look on your syllabus. What are the areas we are going to cover? Right, this is a course specification. This course is offered by Faculty of Management and Commerce, and the course title is Public Accounting and Finance. Your subject code is ACC 41123, and so the subject is available for BBA Accounting Specialization and Finance Specialization and Bachelor of Commerce Specialization. So this program is offered by Department of Accountancy and Finance. So you are fourth year in the first semester. So like total credit hours 45 and lecture hours 45. So professional information. So here the overall aim of this course. So end of the semester. So you will be able to uh, do something. You have to have some sort of knowledge. So aim of this course, why we teach this course. From the beginning, you are study about, you have very thorough knowledge on company accounts, how to prepare financial statement, like how to prepare statement of financial position, statement of comprehensive income, cash flow statement, statement of change in equity, and management accounting, cost accounting, management accounting, right, and process accounting, break even point. So, and also apart from that, we have studied what accounting standard, right? Sri Lanka accounting standard, international accounting standard, Sri Lanka financial reporting framework, international accounting framework. We have studied lot. So when you do financial accounts statements for companies, you follow basically Sri Lanka accounting standard, but that is not the case in this subject. So we are studying what? We are studying public accounting, right? We are studying, your course in it is public accounting and finance. So public accounting is referring here public, sometimes called public sector accounting or government accounting. So when you look at the government organization like ministry, so Ministry of Education, or Ministry of Justice, Ministry of Defense, so there are a lot of accounts. So in the in the ministry, you have to prepare some financial statements. So that are totally different concept from what you have studied under the corporate finance, corporate companies. Right? So you are applying Sri Lanka accounting standard, Sri Lanka financial reporting standard, and you are following case basis accounting. So sorry, you are following accrual basis accounting. But in most of the government institution, government organization, the accounting are totally different concepts. So what are the aim? So why do we offer this course to you? So the overall aim of this course is to provide a comprehensive knowledge. So we are expected to give you a comprehensive knowledge and skills, right? We are providing you a comprehensive knowledge and skills to enable the participants to effectively manage their potential function as a public sector accountant and financial manager. So there is no doubt that all of you can manage the company accounts, right? You can do almost everything. You have confident enough, right? But if you are assigned an accountant or financial manager or fund manager in a public enterprise like uh, department, you have assume that you have been appointed as a accountant for the department of uh, education or department of election, right? So or divisional secretary or any other corporation, CEP. So that time, the knowledge you have gained, uh, it's not sufficient because this is the government organization. The government organization accounting are it's a different, right? You have to be a different class. It's a different world, right? So therefore, uh, this this subject, this course will give you some kind of fundamental uh, ideas about public sector accounts, right? Public sector accounts. So this course explores the institutional and legal framework, distinctive characteristics, issues, core principles, modern approaches, and best practices pertaining to public financial management, accounting, and reporting. Right? When you are dealing with accounting in companies, there are a lot of guidelines to you. Accounting concept, accounting principles, Sri Lanka accounting standard, Sri Lanka accounting framework, international financial reporting framework. So there are a lot of stuffs. You have learned a lot. But when you look at the government sector, we couldn't find this kind of guidelines, very comprehensive guidelines. Right? You have to rely on circulars issued by the government, gazette notifications, constitutions. You can't violate the constitution of the country. Right? You can't violate any act, specific act of the company, of the organization. So there are a lot of restrictions. So, for example, you are familiar with accrual based accounting, but many government sector organizations still following case basis accounting. So in accounting, there are different approaches. Say, for example, in cost accounting, as far as we concern, and so there are ABC costing, traditional costing, and but there are a lot of ABC costing, target pricing, there are a lot of stuffs. But the public sector accounting is not developed as that. Right? It's a developing uh, era, right? So you have to learn a lot from there. Right? It's emerging, right? Now you have in a finance, in company corporate accounting, in corporate finance, you have studied a lot of theories, right? So theory, right? Miller and Modigliani theory, and there are a lot of theories, asset pricing theories. There are a lot of in accounting. There are a lot of theories, NPE calculation. There are many things, but in public sector accounting, it's a totally different. So they have to rely on different things. So they have to follow on financial regulations and gazette notifications, right? So theoretical, practical, and practitionary and research-based approaches are adapted in the process of teaching learning activities throughout the course of study. So this course seeks to impact the knowledge, skills, attitude, and mindset of students toward public sector. right? Public sector mean what? Government sector organization, public sector in general, and its accounting and financial management in particular. It enables and motivate the students to discharge their duties in public sector career in an active, dynamic, and innovative and result-oriented manner. So, why do we offer this course unit to you? So, when you assigned a public sector employee, you may be appointed as a director, may be appointed as an accountant, or fund manager, or treasurer for any government organization. You have to work very efficiently, very dynamically. You have to give your innovative ideas to run the government machine. So when you work, you have to have your efficient processes, your efficient thinkings. So for that, this course gives you basic guidelines, basic ideas about the public accounting and finance. So here, intended learning objectives. So what we are expecting after you study this course. So it has been divided by into four. First one, so knowledge and understanding, and second, intellectual skills, and professional and practical skills. Finally, general and transferable skills. So in the knowledge and understanding, so first we are expect from you to understand the nature, institutions, and context of public sector. So first of all, you have to understand the nature, institutions, and context of public sector. Public sector is simply, if you wish, you can keep it in your mind. You can set it as public sector mean government sector. So it includes all the departments, all the ministries, or government or companies like Sri Lanka Telecom, Mobitel, Sri Lanka Petroleum Corporation, People's Bank, Commercial Bank, Building Department, right? Department of Road Development Authority. There are firms. So it's all comes under one basket. That's called public sector, government sector. To explain the various principles of financial management in the context of new public management. You can observe that here, new public management. What do you mean that new public management? For decades, for centuries, government public sectors, they are following traditional way of accounting, not like companies accounting. In companies accounting, there are a lot of improvements. There are substantial improvements we can observe day by day. It is improving, but the government sector accounting, not like that. It is emerging, right? In the last 2 decades, before the last 2 decades, almost nobody concentrate, nobody care about public accounting. They do traditionally, right? But now, in the last 2 decades, there are significant number of researchers focusing on public sector accounting, how they make the public sector as an efficient one, how to add value. So what are the things has to be done to provide an efficient services by the government sector? So there are new perspectives, new eras, new theories are coming out. New accounting theories is especially applicable for a particular government. Now it's emerging, right? So it's a new concept. Totally, it's a new concept. That's why it's called new public management. So you may study a lot of theories here in accounting and finance. So that sort of theories are not applicable here. It's public. It's a totally different arena. So there are new concepts in public management in order to make the government sector organization efficient one. So that's called what? A new public management, right? So to explain various principles of public financial management in the context of new public management, and to understand the legal and institutional framework connected to public financial service management. So here, what are the things? A legal and institutional framework. So when you do accounting for companies, so on what basis you are preparing accounting? On what basis you are preparing accounting? Any students, uh, can you tell on what basis you are preparing accounting? Any answers from you? You are preparing financial statement. Say for example, uh, statement of comprehensive income, uh, statement of financial position. So you are uh, following which basis? Basis mean you are following accounting standard or any other things. Company account, company's law, act, or what are things? So you have studied accounting standard, LKAS, SLFRS. You followed. That's a legal one. So when prepare financial account, you have to follow LKAS and SLFRS. That's a legal framework for companies account. But for public sector accounting, what is the legal framework? What's that? Do accountant follow accounting standard SLAs? What they follow? What do they follow? Any comments? If you assume that if you are appointed as a government accountant for a particular government organization, say divisional secretariat, so what is the base? Definitely it's not a accounting standard. So what is the base? What are the bases? Any answers? Financial regulations. The answer is financial regulation. Here, uh, financial regulation. Here, this is financial regulation of government of domestic socialist Republic of Sri Lanka. So it is published in 1992, published by Ministry of Finance, Treasury. Right? So these are the content. FR. So you have to follow this. This is the standard for them. And everybody of you should keep one copy of this. It may not to hard copy, you can keep soft copy. Right? So FR start from 1. So financial year. What it says financial, it's defined. What is financial year? The financial year of the Republic commences on 1st of January of each year and end on the 31st December 31st December of any same year. Right? This is the financial year. Provision in the Constitution. The following article of the Constitution of Domestic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka, 1978, now existing Constitution, relating to the payment to the consolidated fund and withdrawals from the fund are reproduced here for the information and guidelines of the officers. Here you can find the article number 148 from the Constitution. So the public accountant are bound with financial regulations. So when you compare this one, the financial year for companies, it's differ. Some companies financial year start from 1st of April. Some companies is uh, some companies financial year start from 1st of January, 1st of April, 1st of July, 1st of November, or 14th of April. There are different dates, but in terms of for the Government sector organizations, their financial year start from 1st of January to 31st December. There's no changes, and they have to follow the Constitution of Sri Lanka, 1978. So you can find this. So I can send you the copy. Then right, you can download. Right, you can click and download, and you can find the Constitution of Sri Lanka. So, right, this is the Constitution. Right, revised edition. So incorporating amendment, 20th amendment, including. Right. So it says very clearly, it's 48. Here it says what? Control of Parliament over public finance. Right. So it says, right. Uh, Here the Constitution says Parliament shall have full control over public finance. So no tax, rate, or any other levy shall be imposed by a local authority or any other public authority except by or under the authority of law passed by the Parliament of any existing law. Right? The chapter 18, sorry, chapter 17, right? Chapter 17 talk about finance management, accounting, right? Accounting and finance of the public sector organizations. But you can have a copy of this. So I can the Constitution, right? And also there are many circulars. So sorry. Right? There are circulars, right? So this is FR financial regulation, FR manual, and circulars, right? Right. And to describe the process, perspective, and approach of public sector budgeting, right? So we will discuss in detail about what is about budget, right? We will spend a significant amount of time uh, in the course of study on budget, right? So you have to collect all the materials. Right? You may have group assignment or individual assignment on budget. So budget speech, budget proposal, everything is here. Right? You collect all the data, and it will be helpful for your assessment. You can find budget speech here. budget speech, right? So everything are documented. Please download these things, these stuff, and it will be help you. So this also you can find budget. So you can find the documents. It may help you. And to understand the concept, process, and institution of accountability, budget execution, and assurance in public sector financial management, and describe the issues, approaches, modern development, and practice in public sector management accounting. Right here are the different management account, right? Management accounting, and describe the issues, basis, national and international standard for ongoing debates in relation to public sector financial accounting and reporting. Right, you may observe that we are using Sri Lanka accounting standard. Right, likewise, now you can find there's a separate set of accounting standard, especially for public sector, which are not applicable for companies. So you can find Sri Lanka uh, public sector financial account. You can find, right? You can find here. This is a Sri Lanka public sector accounting standard. This is volume 2, and you can find volume 1. This is not accounting standard. This is Sri Lanka public sector accounting standard. Right? This is a different one. It's prepared by Chartered Accountant of Sri Lanka. Okay, first one, presentation of finance. Here, standard number. Sri Lanka public sector accounting standard number 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? So you can also keep copy of this in your folder. Right? Accounting standard. And here, when we look at the intellectual skills, so describe public finance and its financial management, and recognize the implication of new paradigms in public sector financial management. So we are going to enter study public financial management in government sector organization. Explain the legal and institutional framework that govern the public financial management, accountability, and accounting and reporting. So it's talk about financial reporting, so financial regulations. This one, financial regulations, and explore public budget process, classification, structure, and modern approaches, and thereby being able to evaluate the budget of the government of Sri Lanka. So we have uh, unique chapter, right? Here, look at the topic. Here, public budgeting and budget process, budget classification and presentation program, approaches for public budgeting, exploring budget of the government. So these are how many four, right? These are the topic related to budget. So therefore, I told you that collect the information regarding the budget. Right? You can find all the information from the Ministry of Finance website. All the points will be helpful you. And explore, right, and describe the importance, institutions, process and procedure involved in public procurement. Right? Public procurement means purchase. Right? So public procurement mean what? When government institutions uh, going to purchase something, it may be some contract or some equipment, furniture. So what are the things? So they have to follow uh, guidelines, government procurement guidelines. So there are process and procedures involved in public procurement. So government institutions should follow this one. Uh, procurement manual. Procurement manual. Right. 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 Government procurement manual. This is the procurement manual. This is old one. Right. This is old. Right. This is the procurement manual. Government organizations should follow these manuals. When they purchase, they have to follow uh, according to this manual. Right? So this is the circular, right? This one issued by the circular, National Procurement Agency. Yeah, National Procurement Agency has issued a circular. This one is a procurement manual. So you also keep one copy of document. Right. And professional and practical skills to apply and comply with financial regulations and other statutory provisions when handling public finance. So it's about financial regulation, right? Financial regulation, that manual. Prepare, alter, execute, and analyze public sector budget, and conduct public sector procurement, right? Public sector procurement in compliance with national procurement guidelines and standards. To apply appropriate management accounting reports for decision making in financial sector context. To evaluate performance of programs and projects implemented in the public sector entities. You can find that there are projects water, right, under the ministries, road development project, water supply management project, so thousand school project. So, right, so this is the project. So end of this course you will be able to measure the performance of that kind of project. So to evaluate performance of programs and projects implemented in the public sector entities. To prepare, analyze, and interpret public sector accounts and financial statements in the context of international and Sri Lankan public sector accounting standard relevant to national regulations. So generally, we expect students will be able to focus on particular issue of interest in public sector accounting and financial management and do research. Students will be able to gather data, analyze, synthesize, budget, accounting and financial data and information in public sector. So these are things. So what are the topics we are going to discuss in this course of study? The first today onwards we will discuss introduction to public sector. Right, it take 1 hour, right? And public sector financial management, implication of new public management, right? We have one chapter on that. Institutional framework for public sector management, a legal framework for public financial management, public budgeting and budget process, and budget classification, presentation and programs, approaches for public budgeting, exploring the budget and government of Sri Lanka, financial management and accountability. So this chapter 10 is dealing with what financial regulations, right? Uh, Procurement, public procurement. So it's related with national procurement guidelines. Handling the variance to estimate of the expenditure by the government. So budget assurance, cash management, cost management. So this is coming under the management accounting of public sector. Performance measurement and evaluation also coming under the public management accounting. Budgetary reporting, financial reporting, right? Here, financial reporting in public sector. And Sri Lanka public sector accounting standards. Export the financial statement of, right? Your examination structure, right? Very important. So most of the 20 marks question will be come from chapter 10, standalone question. One question for 20 marks will come from chapter 10, topic 10, and the 20 marks we can expect from procurement, public procurement. Another 20 marks questions you may expect from budget, right? Budget, it may be 6, 7, 8, 9, right? So there are 3 questions. The first question on financial management accounting, this one chapter 10. Second procurement, third one budgeting, and another one question from this financial sector. Here this one, financial reporting, public sector, and Sri Lanka public sector accounting standard. So 4 questions, and one question come from all of these: introduction, right, introductory part, and other things. So 20 marks question you can expect from these areas. Alright, the student assessment will be based on the quizzes, midterm exams, and projects. And these are the recommended textbooks. So I am myself, Mr. M.I.M. Riyad, the subject coordinator and head of the department of accountancy is Mr. Hay Khalil. He is the program coordinator, right? And that's all about the course specifications I can give it. I can give it, right? Post it. And today's topic, right? I have shared the document. I think you also enrolled in. Is that your batch or your senior batch? This one? Is it your from your, these are these you, in your batch or your senior batch?
Our batch, sir.
Okay, then I can share all the documents. Okay, right, no issue. Good. Right. Okay, I will. This is uploaded for your senior batch, and I will upload a fresh one. Right. Now I will start this unit, chapter 1. So course title Public Accounting and Finance, and today's chapter unit is Introduction to Public Sector and Public Sector and Public Financial Management. Right. Introduction to Public Sector. So this is a part 1. So learning outcome of this chapter unit. Upon the completion of this subject, you should able to define the term public sector and identify different types of institutions in public sector and explain the scope of public sector. So what is public sector? Any question, any answers from you? What do you mean by public sector? What is your understanding? What is public sector? What is public sector? Any idea from you? There are two sectors, no? Public sector and private sector. Public sector and private sector, right? So what is public sector? What is public sector? Any ideas from you?
Public sector.
Sorry, I couldn't hear. Pardon, please. So what is public sector?
Public is a government.
Yeah, government organization. For example, what? Can you tell me some organizations? Can you name some organizations? Government organizations?
Government bank.
Yeah, government.
Hospitals.
For example, People's Bank and Bank of Ceylon. Then what else?
Hospitals.
Hospital, government hospitals, district hospitals, national hospital, and
Schools.
government schools, and corporations, Sri Lanka Petroleum Corporations, Sri Lanka Telecom, Mobitel, Sugar Corporation, State Trading Corporation, CEB, Ceylon Electricity Board, Water Board. So there are a lot of institutions. So these are coming under public sector. Why we call it public sector? Here we see the definition. So in terms, the public sector, the term, in general term, right? In general term, the public sector consists of governments and all publicly controlled or publicly funded agencies, enterprises, and other entities that deliver public programs, goods, or services. How many governments in Sri Lanka? Government, can you name some governments? There are governments in Sri Lanka. Can you name that government? I am not asking political party. I am asking about government. Here, public sector consists of government. Can you name some governments? Do you know that there are many governments exist in Sri Lanka? Do you know that? Basically, there are three governments. What are those? What are the elections you are facing in your life? Elections. What are the elections you are voting for?
Presidential election.
Then parliament election. Then what else? Municipal. It's mean local government, no? And provincial government. So the president and parliament, those are comes on one category. That is central government, right? That is central government. And another election called what? Local government. Local government mean what? Pradesh Sabha, urban council, municipal council. These are called local government. And in addition to that, state or provincial government, right? Provincial government. So there will be a called chief minister, right? The chief minister will be in charge for provincial uh, uh, council, say government, right? For the local government, mayor or chairman, right? For the central government, president and prime minister. So the in general term, the public sector consists of government, right? It may be in the form of central government, or provincial government, or local government, and all publicly controlled or publicly funded agencies. For example, publicly controlled, so Department of Police, Department of Defense, Department of Health, Department of Education. For that, for these are the things controlled by the government. Public, here public mean government, all government controlled, right? All publicly controlled mean all government controlled or publicly funded agencies. Sometimes government give money, for example universities, schools, police, so they are funding, right? Enterprises like Ceylon Petroleum Corporation, Ceylon uh, Electricity Board, Water Board, Sri Lanka Telecom, they are government enterprises. And other entities that deliver public programs, goods or services like CTP, Ceylon Transport Board, and Railway Department, and Coastal Production Authority, right? Road Development Authority. So they are providing service. So the what is public sector? It means in general term, the public sector consists of government and all publicly controlled or publicly funded agencies, enterprises, and other entities that deliver public programs. Here, funded agencies include for some project, government will fund Mahavali Development Project, Thousand Schools Project, Mahodaya Project. So there are agencies, right? The projects. So different organization here they are mentioning about. So different organizations are giving different types of definition for public sector. For the term public sector, they are giving different types of definitions. So these definitions are provided by World Bank, IMF, and other institutions. Here, different organizations define the term public sector differently according to their nature of operations. Here, so please be aware about how such international organizations such as World Bank, IMF, International Monetary Fund, and United Nations, and professional bodies like IFAC, International Federation of Accountants, and IASB, International Accounting International Accounting Standard Board defines it. So, right? You can search in the internet. So how United Nations and IFAC, IASB define public sector. Right? It's a homework. Now we look at how IMF has defined the term public sector. IMF, the public sector, it can be a public corporation and general government, right? So IMF has categorized the public sector into two broad categories, two broad types: public corporations and general government. So normally our people says no, the government job. Some people says corporations. He is working in the corporation, or he is working in semi-government. Some people are eligible to obtain pension fund. Some people are not eligible to get pension. So those who are getting pension, normally we call them as a government employees. Some employees still, it's a government organization, but they are not entitled to get pension. So those we call that people as a semi-government. No, so based on that, so based on this definition, IMF definitions, they are categorized that. Yeah. So the government finance statistics manual, the government in government finance statistical manual 2001, the public sector is comprised at the broadest level, right, of public corporation and general government, right. It has defined into two. There are two types of government sectors organizations. First one, public corporation, and second one, general government. Since public corporations may be either financial or non-financial, the public sector therefore encompasses three broad economic sectors: the government sector, financial, and non-financial. So here the government includes here. So based on the IMF criteria, the public sector can be categorized into two. First one is general government. Second one is public corporation. Under the general government, you can find there are three types of government: central government, state government, and local government. There are three. And in the public corporation, mainly there are two. What are those? Public corporation and financial public corporation and non-financial public corporation. For example, we can say for financial public corporation, so any government enterprises which are government organization which are dealing with finance related matters. For example, banks, government owned banks, People's Bank of Sri Lanka, People's Bank, Bank of Ceylon, right, and Sri Lanka Insurance Corporation, and other Samuddi Bank, like that. So there are different agencies, no, and also it includes Central Bank and Rural Development Bank, right. So those are dealing with finance. So it's coming under the financial public corporations, and there are other corporations, uh, non-financial public corporations. For example, Ceylon Petroleum Corporation and Sri Lanka Telecom and State Trading Corporation, right? So again, the public corporation can be divided into three in other way. First one is financial public corporation. Second one, monetary public corporations, including the central bank, and non-monetary financial corporations. So actually, so the financial, so three types. Now here, public corporation can be divided into public finance, financial public corporation, monetary public corporations, including central bank. So there are some confusion. No? So both of them. So this also coming under here, right? There are little confusion, right? And non-monetary financial public corporations. So, so we can refer this IMF guideline. Figure 2.2, you can find the detailed one, detailed explanation for this figure. Right. What's mean general government? As I told you already, there are three different governments, right? So general government produces goods and services on non-market basis, while public corporations are created for the purpose of producing goods and services for the market. So think about hospitals, police, and defense, like army, armed forces, navy, air forces. So they are not provide services in the market basis. So they are providing services on non-market basis. Free education, right? State universities, schools, common hospitals, forest department, right? So they are not uh, work. They are not providing goods and services without considering the market things, right? So non-market basis. They are not providing services based on the supply and demand mechanisms. While corporations are created for the purpose of producing goods and services for the market, so they are providing goods and services on market basis. Here, so sometimes they are Ceylon Petroleum Corporations. They have to earn something from the public. CEB, they wanted to earn. What about they are earning? Ports Authority, they are earning, even though it's a public sector organization. We call it a but they are they're providing services on market basis. Sometimes they compete with the private sector organizations. The notion of economically significant prices is used for distinguishing between market production and non-market production. Normally, general government sometimes offer services in economically significant prices, right? So without considering profit, making profit, they're providing services. Sometimes on with cash on price, they are everything has a price. So general government sector has two parts. So all general government units and all non-market profit institutions. Here, so normally we call government, but all general government units mean what are those? The local government, provincial government, and the central government. And also we call no, there are some employees, they are government employees, pensionable employees. No, normally they are getting pension. So who are those? Teachers, government school teachers, they are government employees, and government medical officers, customs officers, inland revenue department officers, government auditors. So all that people are government employees. Why we call they are providing services without considering the market mechanism. So all non-market, non-profit institutions, NPA, non-profit institutions that are both controlled and mainly financed by government units. Right? So general government includes all three type of government plus the government organization like government organizations which are providing service without considering the market. These are non-profit institutions. And public corporation other side, right? Public corporation. A corporation is a legal entity created to produce goods and services for the market. Goods and services for the market. So corporations are collectively owned by shareholders who have the authority to appoint directors responsible for its general management. Corporations may be source of profit or other financial gain to its owners. The profit motive is often the principal reason for establishing a corporation. Central bank, sorry, it's not central bank, CEB, Ceylon Electricity Board. They are providing services. They are supplying electricity. They wanted to earn profit, but actually it's not a condition for that. CEB is established by the government organization. It's a corporation, right? It's a corporation, but the government expect some profit from the CEB. And the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation, right? They are competing in the market. So who is the competitor for the CPET for Ceylon Petroleum Corporation? Who is the market competitor? Any answers? Ceylon Petroleum Corporation, who is the competitor? Is it monopoly? Who is the competitor for Ceylon Petroleum Corporation? Any answers? IOC, very good, very good. Indian Oil Company, right? Indian Oil Company. And there are a lot of corporations. Can you name some corporations in Sri Lanka? Corporations, what are the corporations? Can you list out some corporations and government-owned companies in chat box, or you can unmute your mic? What are the corporations or companies owned by Sri Lankan government? I say some example, Sri Lankan Airlines, Sri Lanka Telecom, and People's Bank of Sri Lanka. So these are the government-owned examples. There are 100. Can you list out the chat box? Airport and Aviation Service Limited, the Associated Newspaper Ceylon Limited, PCC Lanka Limited, Building Minerals Corporation Limited, Ceylon Fertilizer Company Limited, Ceylon Shipping Corporation Limited, Sino Foundation. So there are many, right? You can find in the Wikipedia also, right? These are the corporations, commercial corporations. You can find. Okay. Agricultural Insurance Board, Bank of Ceylon, Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Central Engineering Consultancy Bureau, CECB, Ceylon Ceramic Corporation, Ceylon Electricity Board, Ceylon Hotel Corporation, Ceylon Petroleum Corporation, Cooperative Wholesale Establishment, Employee Trust Fund Board, Housing Development and Finance, HDFC, Janata Estate, NSB, National Water Board, National Water Supply and Drainage Board, right? So there are a lot of SMIB, so government owned companies, airport, aviation, ITN, Independent Television Network, Colombo Shock Makers, Lanka Fabric Limited, Lanka Satose Limited, Milko, right? So there are institutions. And also listed companies, Agalavatta Plantation, right? Palangoda Plantation. These are the government owned companies. Colombo Dockyard Limited, Commercial Bank of Ceylon Limited. These are the not government companies. Right. The profit motive is often principal reason for establishing corporation, although this may not be necessarily the case. Public enterprise are resident public corporations that are owned and controlled by government units. So, the Treasury, the Ministry of Finance of Sri Lanka, also defined the public corporations. So they define into two. So public corporations and public enterprises. Public corporation as any corporation, board or any other body which was or is established by or under any written law other than Companies Act. It is not included the companies with a capital fully or partly provided by the government by way of grant, loan or other form. So this is called public corporation. And public enterprise is it is broad, right? It is broad. Any public corporations, board or other body which was or is established under any written law, including Companies Act, where the government has the controlling interest. So these are the two different things. So all public corporations are coming under public enterprise, but all public enterprise are not coming under the public corporations, right? So public corporations not include companies, but public enterprise include companies also. And public corporations here commercial corporations, government owned companies, statutory boards. So right here commercial corporations, so these are the organizations established under the special or general act of parliament, so with capital fully or partly provided by government. These enterprises are expected to operate on commercial lines and be viable and self-financing. Right? We look at the Sri Lankan Airlines. So take the annual report. This is the airlines. Here this chairman. Right. The government of Sri Lanka is being major shareholder of the company, has a controlling power of the group. Right. It's a government-owned company. Right. Relationship group. And also right, commercial corporations. These are the organizations established under the special law, special or general act of parliament with the capital fully or partly provided by the government. So these enterprises are expected to operate on commercial lines and be viable and self-financing. Can you write commercial owned companies? So these include entities established and operated under companies ordinance act in which government has direct controlling interest by virtue of its shareholding. Right? This is what government owned companies. And Ceylon Petroleum Corporations are coming under here. Corporations and government-owned companies converted in terms of conversion of public corporation or the government-owned business undertaking into public companies act number 23 of 1987. The statutory boards, you can find a statutory board, for example, National Water Supply and Drainage Board, Ceylon Electricity Board, like that. So organizations established under special or general acts of parliament with recurrent and capital expenditure fully or partly provided by way of annual government grant to meet promotional, regularly educational research and other services. And the fourth one is before the subsidiary of these subsidiaries of commercial corporations, government owned companies, and statutory boards. So these are the companies where the government has an indirect control through public enterprise. So for example, Mobitel. Mobitel is a subsidiary of Sri Lanka Telecom. The government has fully control on Sri Lanka Telecom. Through that, the government has indirect control over Sri Lanka Mobitel. So that's all for today's session. We will discuss, we will continue in the next class. And